2020, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the For the Culture Podcast, a soccer podcast for us, by us. It's the best kept secret of soccer today. We have made it to 2020, y'all. New year, new decade, more culture. What is happening, y'all? You got your boy here, Grego. Got Coach here. You got TK here. What's going on with your fam?
Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year.
Same to you, man.
2020 vision, baby.
How's your Kwanzaa going, man?
Kwanzaa's going well. You know, some of my principles. Try to get some collective economics going. Try to better our people. Trying to support the culture.
Indeed, yes, please, yes. What's good with you, man? What's good with you, TK?
Man, you know, just enjoying the new year, trying to take my time off work, one day at a time. I only get like 2, so.
Hopefully you guys are springing into the new year and new decade like Ronaldo's header.
Oof.
You know.
That thing was majestic.
Bruh, like.
That man got hops.
And he's supposed to be old.
Bounce.
He's supposed to be old.
That man got bounce. Hardest working man in the game.
Think he could do a basketball career?
You know, you're trying to be an actor after he retires, so you know you never know what happens.
Really, is he going to act though, quote unquote?
See, like, here's the weird thing, because like I have heard of like with certain actors, it's hard for them to get certain jobs because they just look too attractive. And it's like you can't really buy them into like you can't see them like doing like gritty shit because you know you just look too good.
That's why my acting career never jumped off. Is
basically,
though.
I think he could be a model then. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a really good chin line.
I mean, the jawline's immaculate. Like I said, you know, pause. But yeah, man. Of course, you know, we've had great Boxing Day. We've had great weekends. Like England plays too many games, bruh. Like.
Here's the thing, though. As much as we complain about it,
mm-hmm.
at the same time, like I love it. Like it's a tax.
It's a gift and a curse.
Exactly. It's a tax on the players. It's a tax on all the teams involved. I get that, and we want to make sure there is some balance to these players and coaches' lives.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as a fan,
during
this time off, I love that. Like almost every day I roll out of bed, I'm like, oh, there's actually a competitive game going on.
Yeah.
It's not some weird bowl game that has 2 schools that I've never heard of for some underwear championship. I don't know.
In our stadium.
Oh man! At least it'll go better than what the Oklahoma did in LSU. I was like, "Jeez, man,
bro,
they got took to the woodshed, bro." But
they're gonna put up those stats.
Yo, like. I saw a stat that said Joe Burrow from LSU has thrown for more touchdowns in Mercedes-Benz Stadium than the Falcons had all of this year.
Season.
I was like, that's cold-blooded.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because like you know, Boxing Day, of course, for those who don't know, is the day after Christmas. Is a big thing, especially in England, where they have, of course, like a full set of games on that day. Of course, Boxing Day was on Thursday, and they had to turn right back around over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to play more games. So, like, for a lot of teams, they really didn't have a lot of turnaround time to really rest players up, say, hey, let's get you guys back in shape. So, like, you really had to, you know, go into, you know, a little bit of the bench to, you know, make sure keep players fresh and everything. And, like, what were you guys' thoughts on how some of the games went? Because the big game, like, how does Man City go playing a game on Friday and then turn right back around and playing a game on Sunday? I was like,
well, I guess FIFA 20 got it right then with the way they got the fixture schedule right, because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, like
I mean, you're getting 3 games in a week pretty much for some of these teams.
That is one thing that EA has never quite fixed. It's like you have a game rescheduled and you realize, okay, yeah, I got like a game on Tuesday and Thursday. It's like, are you serious, bro?
Yeah.
But no, you know, we got a great show for you guys this today, and let me see here.
We got some team of the decades going on. We got teams of the decades going on. What else we got? I mean, we got the end of the decade going, so we got to get some of our reflection time going on.
Absolutely. TK, of course, Sunday was your boy's big day. First of all, is Arsenal and Chelsea a real derby for y'all? Like, how does that work? Because, of course, you got North London Derby, West London Derby. Like, of course, Arsenal's on North London, Chelsea's in West London. Like, is that really considered like a real like rivalry for y'all?
Absolutely. I want to say though that it's probably going to be a little bit of a intense rival with Spurs. Mm-hmm. I think that's where the real rivalry is at, as far as London is concerned, and probably.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second because y'all kind of caught it a couple weeks ago.
Hey man, we got some tactics on point. I think the second rivalry in London, where Chelsea is concerned, is going to be Crystal Palace, not Arsenal. So Arsenal, they've like AJ mentioned on the last pod, they have been in steady decline ever since the Invisible Era. Even Wenger was just trying to he was keeping it consistent, but they've been in decline. I don't really even look at them as competition. Even if we would have lost that match, it'd have just been like another drop in the bucket, honestly.
But the magic word of the weekend once again is VAR. You had Wolves get jacked. Sheffield got jacked. Y'all actually benefited from it. It worked out. Y'all worked out okay with it because y'all could have had a penalty against Arsenal, but it wasn't called. Personally, I don't think it really was because it was right there at the line. So it should have at least been a free kick.
Yeah, I saw the replay, and the point of contact is just on the outside of the box for me, at least with the cameras that I got to look at revealed. But yeah, honestly, at halftime, it could have been, given that goes in, you got 1-1 at the half, and things are looking a little bit better. Guendouzi he should have been redded. Jorginho should have been redded.
And then ends up scoring.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's the irony. But that was, for me, that was some real United stuff, some Man United
that
stuff.
That was some Man United stuff.
You get away with it, like, referee preference for United. And then that same person goes and scores the winner. So I appreciate that in the age where VAR is essentially ruining football, or at least the excitement. So that was nice to see a little bit of irony on that side.
It was interesting. I think, especially with that game and the Wolves Liverpool game, there's part of me that's like, yeah, we need the VAR system because obviously there's a lot of these games are a lot of money involved, a lot of stakes involved, and everything like that. But at the same time, there needs to be a balance of human element with this, and I think that's the thing because like otherwise you wouldn't have a hand of God. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have a hand of God situation. And by, having things from the rule of the law and everything, I'm a different person in that standpoint because, like, even it was funny to hear Robbie talk about it in the post-game talk was that even the rule of, offside, how, like, that should be addressed now. Because what advantage is someone gaining by having a centimeter of their arm over the line? There's no advantage. None. And so maybe we should really look at the law of what it means to be offside. Like, should it be a foot? I've always thought it should be a foot type of thing. But do arms help you into being offside? Like, to especially propel? If your arms help you propel. I get that. But if you're talking about, a shirt sleeve all offside, then
is the arm actually like doing anything in that process? Okay, like it's not like how like handball, for example, where it's like, okay, the ball hit my arm. And I benefited from it hitting my arm to score a goal. That's not the case. Like, basically, with the way that everyone naturally runs, it's like, yeah, like you have to still operate as a normal human being when you run. It's like that's not really affecting one way or the other if you're going to score a goal or not. It's just how science is basically. And but I think especially with you having so many cameras now and you having so much. You have much greater access than you used to. I think you do have to get like far more specific as far as, okay, is this really benefiting the process of the goal? Otherwise, yeah, you got to let that ride.
Yeah, I think on that note, I'm in favor of bringing the goal line technology back, where that's just plain and simple. If it crosses the line,
the whole ball,
yeah, then you're in. And I think that would be a quick, easy fix. I think maybe, like you said, establish some sort of precedent as far as what is going to be offside. Because I can't remember what game it was, but they literally called it VAR offsides due to someone's armpit.
Right. Yeah.
And it's wild.
And that's when you're like, okay, yes, I get, rules and laws are supposed to be there and they have to be interpreted that way or whatever. But at the same time, there needs to be a human element where, yeah, humans are going to miss that. Two, also that like there has to be the element of, okay, there's circumstances that we need to check into a situation like that where, okay, yeah, such and such might be off or whatever, but it really did not have gain any type of advantage.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, and of course, Nuno after the game, like when they brought up the goal that was called off, I mean, he didn't even want to talk about it. It's like, no. Like he's trying to like reason with the reporters, like, yo, don't do it, man.
Because he knows he's going to get fined. He knows he'll get fined for what he has to say. Because if he gives an opinion and complains about it, they're going to hit him up with a fine. And so he's just saving his butt in that situation where he's like, nah, I want to save this $25K.
Yep. Take the high road.
I just put money on Christmas, man. Like, don't do this to me, man.
Yeah, so I was like, what is, even like today, I was like, take the high road. And the same that Mason Mount and Ganduzzi getting into it. I'm like, both of you guys are on a yellow. Mm-hmm. This is the fixture, holiday fixture
season,
out, man.
Yeah.
Like, chill out. We need quality players at Chelsea. I don't know about y'all.
I mean, hey, y'all, your transfer ban's been lifted, so come today, like y'all are back on the market. Say, hey, but you know what though? And of course, I had to take a back step when Tony was telling me this before we started recording. This might be the most likable Chelsea squad ever in life. And because
you see, he checked the time and date on that when that statement was made.
Yeah. Because
December 29th, 4 nights.
But no, because you have of course, because of the transfer ban, you had to like really kind of look from within to build your squad up. And what Frank Lampard's been able to do is build a squad largely with youth, and so you're not really going out and buying the $70 million Mercedes, even though technically, I guess Pulisic would be considered that because he went for 76. So, I guess you kind of take the good with the bad, but still, like, you don't have those guys that 10 years ago would be like, okay, he just coming in for the big money,
Diego Costas.
Yeah, and now you have these young kids who are really, really turning out for Chelsea, and it's like, oh, it's a new spirit here, and I will say, like, it's definitely a lot harder to hate them, but then again, of course, supporters is like.
Oh, I'm not saying it's the fans that mess.
Oh yeah, that's why I hate y'all.
Fans, yeah.
Well, in other news for Chelsea, our owner Roman Abramovich has officially got his visa cleared, so he will be allowed back into the UK.
What? That's where, we haven't seen it in a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that does call for some more.
We haven't seen it because usually he'd always be there at matches, but you haven't
looking
seen
all
it in a hot
ominous
minute.
and stuff.
Yeah, you said, "Hey, I'm gonna go back to Mother Russia."
I think he's been hanging out in Israel too because he's got his Israeli citizenship as well.
Has he been meeting up with Rudy Giuliani too?
Yeah, no, I don't know about all that. No, that's just like a big bowl of spaghetti mess.
But no, I think that of course, over the past couple of weeks, of course.
Whoa! There's one thing I gotta say too, from a coach standpoint. On that goal by Tammy, they were giving a lot of props to him. That goal does not happen without Willian.
I sent a text to my homeboy Bobby. I was like, man, somehow Willian is the guy who got the assist for this. And honestly, it was good on Tammy to fake in and spin out. Mm-hmm. But really, is Mustafi? Yeah. Bench player.
Well, the thing about it was, the pure effort that Willian did, where he did full out sprint for 60, 70 yards. Cuts it to the outside where I thought he took that touch too far.
I agree. I think he did take it too far.
He took that touch. He took that hard angle. I was like, ooh, it's going out. I don't know. And then he gave it. And Tammy did what he did. Just grown man stuff.
Tammy cleaned it up and still finished it.
Yep. And nutmeg keeper. Which is always
that's always nice to see.
It's always. So I give props to Willian on that.
I don't know if he's gonna get that spot from Neuer though. Looking a little shaky.
Yeah.
But I saw on the socials the past couple of days, of course, going back to what we were talking about as far as just having this quick turnaround in the match. Of course, since we last recorded, Liverpool with the cutter won the Club World Cup. Mm-hmm. That was actually a much closer match than I think people were giving it. Were thinking it's going to be because they don't won like 1-0. Bobby Firmino's been on a tear. Of course, Liverpool were the benefactors of VAR because of what happened against Wolves. So of course they're still they're 14 points clear with a game in hand. Like
it's depressing. I think it's 93 percentile guaranteed to win the league or projected to win the league.
It's theirs to lose. I
think at this point,
quite honestly that
it's because I think during the weekend before Christmas, Man City played and had did a post game interview, and they were like, he didn't want to talk about like their chances to come back because at this point, it's not even so much more about what they can do to come back and win the league. Like you have to rely on Liverpool losing,
right?
And at this point, you're talking about like 14 points. Like they basically had to drop like 5.
They have to lose four solid games and then tie at least another 3.
Yeah, like do you really see them really doing that? Especially at the rate that they're going right now, because they're cranking out those tough wins too.
I was like, if they play Wolves and Leicester maybe 2 more times, we might get lucky. But we all know that's not how the season works.
Yeah, I don't see anybody catching them. I mean, and what's funny to watch Pep now, like he's always been, intense kind of guy, but you can tell.
It's wearing on him now.
Yeah, he seems like he's coaching for his job type of thing. Mm-hmm. And no matter how well he has for these rest of the, 18 games left he has for them.
And like
I don't see anything.
That's the weird thing I think for him, because like of course you had what his successes at Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and now here at Man City, and it's like you're basically coaching against your own shadow and standard. When you start breaking league records and everything, it's like, okay, how long can we really keep this particular standard up? Like, can we still win the league with only like 96 points?
Well, it's interesting too. Like when I was watching the Liverpool game, there's that sense where a true champion, either they win ugly. They got a lot of luck going their way. They have those things that things fall into order for them. And watching that Liverpool game, and the calls go, in their way and everything. That's what happens. And the same things have happened to City in the past. Mm-hmm. And it's not happened that way for City, really. You know what I'm saying? So I think Liverpool, this is a team that's to be, compared to the Invincibles.
Because,
if they do,
And that's
they have a lot of potential to be the Invincibles.
Yeah.
And
well, they run at the reality of it.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the Invincibles is an Arsenal team that went undefeated. And that team has always been like a marker, kind of like how, in football, everybody marks themselves to Miami Dolphins, that team that, didn't lose a game. Same way in the Premier League. Nobody has really ever touched that. Even Liverpool came close last year.
Mm-hmm. Man City came close last year.
City came close, but I think this Liverpool team is really. I think they have a good chance of doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
One draw, no losses right now.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be the because they showed some of the records for the decade, and City was the team essentially.
Right.
So it's like City has the most wins, the most points, the most something else. And I was like, geez, where did they come from? Because I think we were talking
those damn noisy neighbors, man.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
They actually showed that because of course NBC's been doing almost nonstop EPL the past week or so. They actually had one special going back to what was the year? It was 2013, I think, when City finally won the league on the last day of the season, and
that was the first.
It's one of those things where, of course, you see the process of how they went from basically being like 15 years ago they were getting relegated, and you're talking about fast forward now it's basically they're essentially the standard of the league now with Liverpool. And it's kind of crazy when you go back and be like, these guys
they were crap.
Yeah,
they were
absolute
crap. A bunch of crap.
Bollocks, load bollocks.
It's funny how things change over time. Because I remember, like, last decade, the mercenary club was viewed as Chelsea. Mm-hmm. And, like, now they're the ones with, homegrown talent. And
Chelsea was a bunch of crap before, too.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this has all been within the same decade.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like, pretty much this, like, it's crazy. Like who's going to be, like, the next city of this 2020 decade, and it's going to be crazy to see. But before we go on break,
before we go on break, I want to bring up one more thing.
What's up?
It's a big thing culture wise. Mm-hmm. All right, so today we watched Arsenal fail again, and
sorry, Ringo.
But no, the one thing that really, and we brought up in one of our chats or whatever, I can't remember which one, but the fact of the matter of like we're seeing the institutionalized racism that's going on. The fact that Mikel Arteta, mm-hmm. who's been an assistant the whole time in his coaching career, right? Mm-hmm. He gets the head job, but then we come to find out that Patrick Vieira never was even contacted for that.
That's wild.
Former player, former captain,
legend,
has successful head coaching stints,
mm-hmm. 2 clubs,
and is doing his damn thing and wasn't even contacted. But yet you're going to hire Mikel Arteta, who's been an assistant this whole time, hoping, I guess, that some pep is rubbing off of him.
Because remember, like
that's come on, man.
It's kind of crazy. Like
he does tactics.
I mean, granted, he's had a lot of hype over the past couple of years. I guess as far as like how he's like kind of helped Guardiola, but at the same time, because like remember like Ryan Giggs when he was the number 2 at United after he retired, and the large reason why he didn't get the job after Van Gaal was because it's like, you don't have any. You
haven't done anything.
Yeah.
You got to earn your stripes somewhere else.
Right.
That's usually how
I feel like United they were honest about it.
Yeah.
In that sense,
But Arsenal was like,
we'll take our chances.
Well, I think was it something that Tanner said last week or 2 weeks ago? It's part of this whole like recycle, get back in touch with the club. Like get a part of get someone who's cut from the cloth, who knows how the club is ran and has a clue about the identity of the club. And it's like, well, do you have experience though to pair you with that,
bro?
Especially considering the level of the job that you're talking about, because it's not like you're going to like a championship level club that's maybe fighting for promotion and everything. Like, you're talking about like a team where the expectation is top 4, top 6, hopefully win the league, and it's like you're taking those chances on a guy who's never been the lead man anywhere. And it's like, that's a lot of responsibility, especially given the size of the club. But like that's just it's madness to me that he wasn't even contacted. Said like, hey, we got at least say like, hey, we got your eye on you. It ain't that time yet. At least keep it real, keep it 100. Say, hey, this we ain't ready yet.
I can even understand why Henry wasn't. I mean, granted, Henry he has a new job they just took from Montreal, mm-hmm. and he hasn't really had a successful coaching career where he's been. But Patrick's been doing well. I mean,
like you don't go from MLS to France if you just on the bullshit. It just doesn't happen.
And that's where you're like, okay, I see that something's going on. Yeah, or you're just too dumb to even
to want to acknowledge.
It's one of the two. It's just one of the two.
Absolutely. No, I think there's something in the water.
Yeah,
but of course, speaking of something in the water, it's weird when the club that we often accuse of racism gets the racism thrown at them, because over the holiday break, your boys actually were the victims of racism.
Man.
It's like how does that happen, man? It's like, and it was funny about that because, of course, a couple weeks back we were talking about how Son was the victim of racism with Spurs. It's like,
and now here he is right at the
are people just that ignorant?
Start of it, really.
Are people just that ignorant to say, okay, hey, it happened to us, but hey, let's go ahead and do it to somebody else? Like, it just, man.
What's our counter?
I think people were cool over Christmas and New Year's. I think.
I'm sure there's something come out.
But because it was the holidays.
0 for Italy.
Yo, like I said, Italy's got its own thing now. Like it's getting to spin off. It has its own new series.
Right what saves them is that the holiday break.
Yeah, basically, it's like everyone's in good spirits. They want to be. Everyone's all about peace to all, and all that. But it absolutely boggles my mind that Spurs would even put themselves in a position like. of course, everyone was talking about like how because the incident that happened was Antonio Rudiger for Chelsea was
he got fouled by Son, and Son like kicked his leg up, and so Rudiger falls down, and Tottenham fans felt that he was selling it.
Mm-hmm. And they start doing the monkey chants. I said that seems to be Europe's go-to.
Yeah, the thing is, on the back end of that, there was a Chelsea fan arrested for racial abuse as well. The same match and banned.
Do we have to have a London spinoff too? Because I'm like, really?
I mean, here recently, Spurs, Chelsea, Tottenham, or did Arsenal have? Or was it Crystal Palace?
Well, United too. Remember?
Okay, so yeah,
that guy got dealt with
Tottenham,
quickly.
Though, right?
That guy got dealt with pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But there was one thing that actually that did kind of set me off.
This is all December, right? This is all December.
Gary Neville, he's been speaking out a lot against all the racist behavior, and he had like maybe like a minute or two on Sky Sports, and of course, he draws a lot of it to what's happening in politics as far as like it was happening with Brexit and Boris Johnson and 45 and just how the atmosphere is really just enabling this type of behavior. And after he went on his rant, I guess you could say, the host was like, these views are not the views of Sky Sports. I was like,
disclaim.
Hey, cover it. CYA.
Yeah, I was like,
jeez,
and like just the way he was undercut like that. Like, of course, I get it to an extent. But at the same time, I was like, you just kind of just left him hanging out to dry. And I was like, that was cold blooded.
But also, here's the other thing. Like, I remember after the Tottenham one, Jose was asked immediately after the game about the situation, and it's funny how like certain things you'll see them get animated and stand their ground on and stuff. When it comes to this one, they're like, oh well, we gotta look at both sides and this and that or whatever.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, now that's when we don't know shit.
So the point of that is like no one is saying like whether they saw it or not, no one condemns it, and I think that's really the bigger issue. So we have like pretty large figures in the game, like Jose Mourinho. If you don't know the name, like
by far the most recognizable coach, pretty much.
So, like, I mean, even his agent, you know his name. Like, come on, like, you condemn that stuff, man. It has to start from the top. Like, this is one of those
where you need those helper whiteys. Like you need those guys to say, like, hey, this ain't
I think they're called allies.
Whatever you want to call them. But yes, like it can't be just us, calling out and then nobody else kind of co-signs. Like you need those allies to like, hey, like this needs to stop.
Yeah, and it's not us like, and I mean people of color pulling the race card. Like we're tired. We're over that. We're past that. Like this just needs to be condemned from all sides. If you're racist, if you acting, on that fuck shit, like just. And you see it, condemn it, man. Like, that's it.
Don't pussyfoot around it. But yeah, we're going to pay a quick bill. Come over here on stateside. It's about to be January, so of course, transfer rumors are about to be all over the place. But yeah, we'll be right back. Pay a bill. We'll get y'all in a second.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? It's Ringo here from For the Culture Podcast, and this ad is brought to you by Anchor. I mean, Anchor is pretty awesome. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make podcasts, just like the one you're listening to. What's dope about it, it's free. There's creative tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. I'm actually doing this ad right now on my phone, looking at my computer, reading the script about how to make an Anchor podcast. Whoa, trippy. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your mama car, your baby daddy vehicle. It don't matter. Anchor will make it easy to get your voice to the people that matter. You can make money from podcasts as well with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Remember, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you could download the app for free or go to Anchor FM to get started. So download Anchor and let's hear the dope podcast that you can make as well. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. It's For the Culture, the podcast. For the culture, for us, by us. As we return, we're here to come domestic side, talk about the beautiful game that we love here in the States.
Man, you know, we were talking about last week about the home team, you know, thinking that, hey, everyone's gonna you know, stay here and, you know, wait things out. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden it's like, hey, who's leaving next? LGP, Gonzalez Perez might be on the way to Tijuana. Pitti might actually be on the way to Gremio after all. And it's like,
wait, Pitti? He's leaving too?
Well, the rumor is that his wife has enrolled in classes in Brazil. Of course, like we mentioned during the last episode, the rumor was Pitti was on the way to Gremio in Brazil. And I'm just like, I would be cool with this if I knew what the plan was as far as like replacing these players. But of course, as we've been mentioning in the past few weeks, you know, with the CBA kind of looming large, it's like, okay, how exactly can you really plan around the fact when you don't know exactly, like, for sure if you're going to be starting the season on time? And it's kind of like, it's like, especially with us rolling into this January now with the winter window coming up, and it's like, ooh, you might need to figure out something. Because, like, so far, like, the players that we signed, of course, we have Brooks Lennon. We re-signed Jeff Larentowicz. I think the rumor that came out during Christmas week was, like, some
Alec
guy
Kahn, man. Alec Kahn.
Decatur's greatest.
That's the foundation. That's the cornerstone, man.
Yeah, man.
That is the cornerstone of our team.
But
one more year of Gazan.
Right.
So we found a replacement.
And it's one of those things where it's very frustrating right now because you don't know what direction the team is going to go. And, man, it's only going to get even tighter because, you know, as the month goes by, because of course the window is what it is. Like, it ends at the end of January, so it's like, okay, if we don't have anything really set up by then, especially with the CBA, it's like you're going to be scrambling at the end of that. Okay, hey, we got to sign some players.
Free agent.
Like, hey, I haven't played in like 3 years. You know, I'm Joe Hart, but you know, hey, come on and sign me.
I still have some eligibility. I think I'm still available.
Yeah, I'm still registered.
I still got my feet pro.
I'll be your agent, man. So, no big thing, man. But no, I think that it's only going to be, especially for the teams who actually have money to spend, and you're going to be like, okay, we have this money, but we don't know exactly how much money we really have to spend. So it's like, how exactly can we really offer contracts to new players or to our existing players instead? Especially like we're here with the home team, but like now it's like, okay, LGP's on the table, Gressel's on the table now, and it's like, whoa. Like, you're trying to, like, almost tear down the whole team now, like slow down here. So it's going to be very difficult to really see, like, how, like, which way is up at this point.
Let me ask you, how much of it do you think is Bocanegra or DeBoer that has us at a stalling point right now?
If I had to lean one way or the other, I'll probably say DeBoer, just because, like, I think he's been so dogmatic as far as, like, his particular approach to how he wants to build the team up as far as, like, in his particular scheme. But at the same time, like, I think it all goes back to the CBA. It's like, until you know, like, what money that you can really spend, it's really difficult to say, okay, hey, I want to offer this guy, you know, $750. And
Sim bid.
Right. And it's going to be real difficult. And it's like, okay, like and then people are going to be fussing and complaining come May. And it's like, okay, hey, the team sucks. And because, hey, that's because we couldn't figure things out before the CBA expired. And now you kind of left with what you got. And you're going to be ended up with a bunch of players from USL. It's like, yeah, they're okay. They might have some potential, but yeah, right now we suck. So that's really the fear, I think, with not just us, but like you're going to have like teams like Seattle, LAFC, Red Bulls, things like that, and it's going to be real difficult to see like which way it's up for a good minute, especially with those teams that are going to go into Champions League, because of course if there's no CBA, we can't do Champions League. So yeah.
So what you're saying is Inter Miami is pretty much going to win it all now.
Now, they've been making moves. So like
on the slide for
they finally have a manager, Diego Alonso. He used to coach Monterrey. He coached Monterrey to the Champions League last year.
Monterrey.
Rayados.
Mm-hmm.
They of course they actually played Liverpool really well in the Club World Cup. But yeah, he coached them in Pachuca. He's a 2-time Champions League winner here in CONCACAF. So like they actually have like one of the best managers in the region as their head coach. That's actually a big get for them.
Speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean,
no, it's a big move for them.
They just signed Juan Agudelo. They just signed Roman Torres. Like they're actually like it's like just now beginning to kind of taking shape as far as what they're going to end up being. But yeah, I think that Alonso, if he's able to instill a solid culture there, you might be all right. But yeah, I think that until you have that CBA, it's going to be really difficult to really see like what true spending power that you really have. Because like even like with Inter, they signed Agudelo and Torres, but at the same time they missed out on Cavani, who looks like he's on the way to Atletico Madrid. Of course, I could go on a whole debate on that because I'm like, I don't think Cavani is really that big market draw like that, because like basically he's never really been like the guy anywhere he's been at.
He's always been treated like he's supposed to be that main chick.
Because you got to think about that.
And then they bring Neymar in.
Right. Because like
he's always been flirted with as like, yo, Cavani's going to be the man, and
he's never been treated like that until he's with no, because like you think about it. You've been at PSG for like 5 years now. You had Neymar there, Mbappe there, Ibra there. So basically, at best, he's always been like treated as like the number 3 guy there.
But I'm saying, as far as like when people have pursued him, as far as like the rumor mill and stuff like that, because I remember Man United, the same thing. They were flirting with him, trying to get him to come, and they were talking about breaking bank for him. Everywhere he's been, flirted with the idea of like everybody say like, "Yo, we gonna make you a top 5 player."
Right?
He's not a top 5 player.
Exactly.
and
therein lies your problem.
Numbers, though.
I mean,
and therein lies your problem because
wait, talk about. So you said his numbers, right?
I mean, the dude was putting up hella goals for maybe not in the last 2 years, but
no, and that's what I'm saying. Like so
before that.
But when he was, oh god, now I'm showing my age. Where was he before PSG? Oh god, Stat Boy, where we at?
Where you at, man?
Was he in Spain?
I believe so.
Was that Atletico? No.
The other small big.
Jeez, and age is dread. Where was he at before? PSG. It seems like he's been there forever now, huh?
Yeah, it's been a good 5 years, and it's one of those things where because he's 32 now, he's about to turn 33 in February.
He's done. He's done, son.
And given how
MLS was his best chance,
right? And
Napoli, excuse me.
Napoli, there you are.
But he killed it at Napoli, man.
Yeah, he did. But at the same time,
26 goals first season.
But at the same time,
how long was he at Napoli?
2 years.
2 years.
The first year was on loan from Palomero, which is another Italian club. The second year of actually being there, 69 appearances, 52 goals.
So, yeah, because I remember that second year, like, I remember him coming out that year, everybody was like, yo, this is going to be the next best thing. And let's see, that was, 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago? He was, 26, basically. That's the prime time. And so...
I think that people don't realize that, he's about to be 33 now. And so if there was a time for him to come here, it probably would be now. But at the same time, given how much of a star-driven market Miami is, are you really going to sell a lot of tickets with him? Granted, you have a great Latino market down there, but at the same time, like he's never really been treated as that guy pretty much anywhere, whether it be PSG, even like with Uruguay, like because of course the attention was always with Suarez.
Suarez, yeah. But I think also going to be the knock on him is that the fact that he's playing in the French league for these last 5 years. In the French league, anytime someone who's balling out of the French league, it's like an asterisk. It's like,
I feel like
you're balling, but
go league. Because even like with Neymar and Mbappe, it's like, okay, like, yeah, like you guys are doing the thing, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's France. Like there's hardly that much. There's hardly that much competition there. That's why I've always been like, I think it's a missed opportunity there, especially like with Lyon and Marseille. I'm like, yeah, put some money in there. Like, replace what everyone was talking about with Italy, with France, and just put that money there to say, hey, let's
well, it's interesting with Italy. I mean, with France, the fact that France has arguably the best team in the world as far as obviously World Cup winners and everything, but they have, I'm not going to say it, they have a mediocre league.
Right?
Is that a fair assessment?
I'll take that.
I won't say mediocre, but
is that top 5?
Yes, but it's probably 5.
Yeah.
It probably is number 5.
Okay, so with that being said, Premier League, arguably the best league next to La Liga.
Let's go ahead and do it. Do a list. 1 to 4. Go fill it in.
Ringo's not here, so we can actually do it here. All right. Okay. I
mean, my whole thing is like, which one would you rather have? A better league and okay national product, or better product, national product, and so-so league?
I don't think that really plays into effect, because look at all the players from France that were on the squad for the World Cup winners. Mm-hmm. They do not play in France. Maybe like
Mbappe.
They're
Mbappe.
In general, they're a sellers league.
He's about to leave. He's got 1 year on his contract, and he is
Mbappe
out.
is the exception, not the rule. Yes.
And I think, who's it? The right back.
Pavard?
Pavard.
Yeah, he went to Germany.
Yeah.
It was done. See?
After the cup, he went to Germany.
Okay, yeah.
So,
it's been a year.
With that in mind, I would actually say the best league, top to bottom, I would actually would lean towards Germany. Because if you look at both the club, of course, everyone knows Bayern is just that club. They take everything. But at the same time, like they're pretty much everyone else, like it's a very exciting league as far as like when you see like the actual match play. Mm-hmm. 2, of course, they have a very solid national team course. Granted, they crapped the bed in 2018, but typically the road goes through Germany as far as Euros, World Cups, all that. Second would be England. I think that especially now when there being just so much money in the league now, even the sorry teams, got solid talent.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you have sorry teams always upsetting everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the top 20. I mean, from 1 to 20, you're looking at teams that and those players, I would say they all have like 4 to 6 players that are probably pretty good on their national teams as well, too. Mm-hmm. So I think, for me, I still say Premier League's top.
Yeah, I get
for me.
Now, the number 3 would actually be kind of the tricky one, because
I don't think I have Bundesliga as number 1 though.
My number 3 would be La Liga.
Yeah, La Liga's 3
because they have fallen off from a couple years ago, because I think just
the golden generation.
Because especially since Ronaldo's left, it's like of course it's actually kind of crazy to think about, because Real's technically still tied for first in La Liga, so they're still doing their thing. It's just that they're not nearly as dominant as they were.
The thing with La Liga though is there's no parity though.
Right.
Other than Real and Barca,
parity
now Atletico has been like a seller team as well for so long too. But now, other than those 3 teams,
that's the thing though, because it's been so dominated by Real and Barcelona that parity for them is the year when Atletico wins the league,
right? That's the parity, exactly. And Atletico is a beast, so
right. And but of course that only happens maybe once every 5 or 7 years. So it's
exactly.
So what is going to be said about the Premier League then? Now that you're saying City or Liverpool?
Well, I mean, granted, Liverpool hasn't
Chelsea.
No. Even with that though, you still have those teams, the lower teams, providing pretty stiff competition.
Right.
So I think that's really going to be the difference breaker in comparison to the other leagues we mentioned.
There's a lot more parity, I think, right now, in the top 6 than there ever has been, and because you have teams like Leicester and Sheffield, who are really pushing for those spots where, 10 years ago, you would never, basically it would be Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. That's it.
Pretty much.
If you're lucky, you might have a Spurs. You might have...
No, Spurs is not in the conversation.
Right. And, now it's there's so much fluidity to it now to where you can't really say for certain, who's going to finish where. Like I said, except for, right now, Liverpool, but... Like I said, even that, that's been a long time coming. So
yeah, I think really, I don't want to say a long time coming, but I think they came at it with the same approach, or not the same, but they came at it with a similar attitude that Manchester City did, and now they're starting to reap the benefits of taking that approach. So, they said, okay, here are our goals. We want to win the league. They came damn close, and even this is with Brendan Rodgers now. Let's take it back. Let's fade it all the way back to that. With Stevie G slipping, that would have been the difference if he just stayed on his feet. But that's another top movement of the decade as well.
But number 4, I think just by default, it probably still would be Italy, just for the fact that Juve's been propping them up for pretty much this whole decade. Because they have made 2 Champions League finals in this decade. Of course, they lost both of them. But at the same time, obviously they're not nearly as dominant as they were in the last decade when they were actually both the aughts and the 90s, where you had to go through Italy to make the Champions League final back then. But now, it's basically just Juve. I think that now I do think there's a lot of potential there going into the next decade once Roma figures out their stadium situation, once Inter and Milan figure out their stadium situations. You might see a resurgence. I think I want to say they might be aiming for, I think, a World Cup bid, I think in 2030, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around the centennial years, I believe. But
they'll probably land that. They won before things got a little willy-nilly, almost 10 years ago now?
Yeah.
Or 12?
Yeah, they won the World Cup in 06, and then they made the Euro final in 2012. So, of course, that's a whole different generation. But I think they're still trying to figure things out since they missed the World Cup in 2018. But I think as long as, basically, like I said, Juve is holding them up, and then probably from there, actually, I probably would even list... I have a hard time really listing France as that 5. I think that you probably would look elsewhere. I would actually say Mexico might be within that 5, especially given how Monterrey did this past year.
Yeah, that's definitely putting a little bit of a spotlight on them as far as what they're doing or the products that they're producing as a country and the league. You see that. Monterrey, they're not a team to fuck with, man.
Because I was watching the Liga MX final, the first leg this past week with Monterrey and America. Of course, mind you, Atlanta beat both of them.
True story.
Yeah. So I think that I definitely think that Liga MX definitely has a lot more quality than people really realize, and there's so much there. Hopefully, I think. We can make that another episode because there's been talk about Liga MX and MLS merging, which I think would be a gigantic mistake, just in general. But yeah, like I said, the quality there is better than a lot of people think. But
I think for me, my top 5 is going to be England, Germany, Spain. I don't want to say Italy, just because I'm just anti everything Italy at this point. But I do agree with your points that you made in regards to their league status and Juve propping them up, the status in the Champions League and whatnot. And they're just kind of essentially waiting on the generation resurgence. So Italy and then France.
People really need to go back and realize. I think it was a strong 10-year stretch. With between 97 and 07, you basically had to go through Italy to make the Champions League finals. Of course, you had 03 that had
AC Milan basically dominating all those years.
Yeah, of course, it started with Juve because I think they won in 97. They just missed out, and they lost in the final 98. Of course, we beat them in the semis 99. Then you had the return of AC Milan. Basically, they had a whole 8-year window where it's you basically had to go through them, and then enter in 2010 with Mourinho, and then after that was once the recession hit, they pretty much fell flat.
For me, not looking at stats or anything right now, but just a feel of what I've kind of been observing over the years with Italy. Like, yeah, they have arguably one of the best players in the league right now, but I just don't feel like Italy is a destination for top players anymore.
No, actually, they haven't been right since the recession. They haven't. I think that like because of like most of the stadium situations where like the city owns their leagues and really none of that money really goes back to the clubs like that. That's why Juve has been above ground because they now own their stadium and now they're like, hey, like we're able to sustain ourselves, whereas everybody else they're still trying to just get by.
But whoa! Did we forget who's about to sign with AC Milan?
Oh, Zlatan.
Honestly, it'll be great. And kind of to bounce off the Cavani thing. Like I think that's one of the teams that you can go to as an older player and still kind of be effective. I think
I think it's very telling though.
For Cavani, and so is AC Milan in his case. And it's a return home, right?
Yeah. Because he played there like 2-3 years.
He's one of the players that can play for both sides of Milan.
No, he's played there. Like he's done Juve, he's done Inter, he's done AC Milan.
It don't matter.
Yeah. I am Zlatan. No team is above me.
Right. And it's one of those things where like they kind of have to kind of go backwards to move forward, and they tried to form a player route to get things back and running, but like there's been so much instability as far as just their ownership goes. I think that it's kind of hard to really like how exactly are they going to get things right when they don't have things right up top. But hopefully he works out well for them, and we can go from there.
I mean, because their national team has been struggling on the senior level. The youth level, I can't remember without looking at anything. I think their youth level.
They did pretty well in the U21s, I believe.
21s, yeah. I remember them doing well in that, but it's been one of those things because for so long the reputation of Italian soccer was that if you went a hardcore defender, you went to the.
And it's still the case because like it came out over the holidays. Lukaku had reached out to Ronaldo before he moved to Inter Milan, and Ronaldo's like it's still like the best defensive league in the world.
I mean, Koulibaly's there, baby.
Yeah, so I think
they shape defenders in that league. You're right,
easily.
I mean,
I think that as far as like, of course, you always were able to still get top offensive talent there as well, and I think that the offensive talent has kind of like moved elsewhere, whether it be Italy, whether it be England or Spain, and so with that, it's kind of like Italy has been kind of like left, behind and everything. They're just basically just relying on, hey, people just will like. It's like people who watch American football and say, "Hey, I'm just here for the defense. And I want defense and the big hits." I'm like, "Hey, some people there's an audience for that. At the same time, a lot of people like offense.
Winning games 9-3 in football,
right? But I before we hopped off the Europe like that, I did see that Erling Haaland he didn't choose us. He didn't choose United. He ended up signing over with Borussia Dortmund. I'm like, man,
you know what that means, though?
Right?
You know what that means, though, right?
What's up?
Sancho is gone. They need someone to replace the production that he is contributing.
True.
And in my opinion, I don't know where he's going.
That's the thing. It's like, where exactly does he go?
Because $100 million for him.
Yeah. Because
Chelsea got it.
Yeah, we got 120, but like, come on, like we need a left back. If you didn't see what happened today, we need a left back.
Are you also trying to replace Kepa?
Yeah, we need to replace Kepa. No, I'm just joking. I think we need a left back for certain. Today was pretty bad for Emerson. We need an attacking midfielder who is not afraid to shoot from outside the box. Someone of that Kevin De Bruyne ilk, if you will. It was Kovacic was looking like he was getting in all the KDB positions today, but he wasn't doing KDB things. Mm-hmm. So that has its own place, and we're going to have to mitigate that situation, as the resources come along. But I think our main concern at Chelsea is shoring up the defense at this point in time, and then Frank implementing his tactics with somebody to either step it up in midfield, or either we go out and buy like a Kai Havertz and then pick up somebody on the real on the cheap for backup for Tammy, because I don't think Mishi or Giroux are gonna be much or around for much longer. Gotcha.
But there was one thing I wanted to bring up, bringing it back here to the stateside. Something that actually happened not here, but actually back over in Asia. So there's been a lot of comparisons with the Chinese Super League and MLS, because China has spent a lot of money on top players like Hulk, Oscar, Pato,
Ramirez.
Yeah, and basically it's been like a new hate.
Aren't there a bunch of former Chelsea players in China?
Yes,
yeah. Like Chelsea had a strong
like Kalou,
Shanghai.
Is Kalou over there?
Kalou is actually still in France.
Okay. Yeah, all right. My bad.
He's like a Platine figure at this moment.
But basically, China was like, okay, we can't keep spending all this stupid money and not getting a proper return for it. So basically, what they did was they went MLS with it and started. They didn't do a salary cap; they did a wage gap. So basically, what happened there was that all the foreign players can't make more than $3 million a year. Now they can get more than that with bonuses, but basically, like their flat wage would be like no more than like $3.33 million, something like that. And like the domestic players can't go beyond like $1.4 million or something like that. And
so what's your big picture thinking of the reason why this is done?
Because, well, one, to save some money, because obviously you're talking about teams who have stupid money and they're just overpaying like crazy to get star players, but at the same time you still have to get fans in the seats and people watching, and I guess they're not getting the proper return for that.
Do you know the structure of the stadiums and all that there?
Some of them are pretty big because they're using some are still using like the stadiums that were used like during the Olympics the past few years and everything. So like you have like 60, 80,000 seat stadiums, but at the same time, I'm not sure if the culture is there necessarily. Kind of like how we have the issue here, to where you're actually filling up those stadiums every week and all that.
I thought part of the whole thing though is that what they're being sold on is that the culture is there, because obviously when they do those international tours, you have those fans that.
But you have the same issue here though, because like you'll have like 100. You'll
have the big house being sold out for Barcelona versus whoever. And then when it comes to actually, a normal MLS game, you're not going to get that.
Because I was having a similar
conversation. Unless you're at the Benz.
I was having a similar conversation a couple of weeks ago online. Shout out to Gully Squad. And, we still have the issue to where, like, soccer is big here. I just don't think MLS is big here. And I think that until you kind of reconcile that, it's going to be kind of really hard to see, like how big is MLS really? Because of course you have examples like here in Atlanta, Seattle, to an extent, New York and LA, but at the same time they're not getting 100,000 for a game. But that's not happening. And until you figure out a way, I actually do like the way that China went about it, because technically, so like the way that things are set up there, you can have up to 6 foreign players on their team. So basically, given the math I just gave, like you're already spending off top $18 million. If you give every foreign player the max, that's $3 million each. That's $18 million. Then, even at varying amounts, the domestic players alone, that's going to probably put you like around 25 to 30 million already. So that's already like a good 25 million over what the supposed cap is here. And I think that, going back to what we were talking about earlier with the CBA, I think that we could stand to really loosen up the cap space by a whole lot, at least to where, at least the supposed cap will be like at least 15 million. And then of course from there, if you want to spend a little bit extra for DPs and things like that, you can do that. But I think that there were some people, kind of saying like this move will benefit MLS. I'm like, I don't see that just yet, at least not until we figure out what's going to happen with the CBA. Thanks for listening to part 1 of this week's episode. We'll be dropping part 2 this weekend. In the meantime, make sure you catch on the socials, FTCUTD, for Ringo, for Grego, for Coach, for TK, for Rashad. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all soon.